Hello, I'm Chris Lapadoulis Thanastasiopoulos, and today I'm going to be discussing a little bit of this illegal it's immigration issue, little immigrant issue. And I'm just going to be reviewing some of the things I've seen online. So I don't know if you've noticed, didn't know if you haven't known by now, maybe start paying attention. I don't know, but yeah, we had 300,000 people get processed. These aren't just the ones coming through. This is the ones that got processed coming across the board. That's 0.1% of the US population in 1 month. Okay? So this is becoming a problem. Uh, and if you go to look at the videos online, you'll see lines and lines of this stuff. So it's how are they getting here and stuff. And who are these people? Okay, so these people are refugees coming from places that have installed socialism and communism, like that's about to be in place in the United States. And they had to live in it. They voted for it. They were convinced. They were told that it would be the way to prosperity and the unlimited growth potential, and they fell for it. Yeah, hook, line, sinker, and yeah, now they're escaping it because it's so horrible there. And a lot of this stuff was because the United States with the Monroe Doctrine, they didn't want any power down there, so they would decimate these regimes until they either buckled under it and were no threat to anybody around them because they were so shittily run, or if they were a threat at all, they were handily defeated with CIA type of operations. I'm sure if you look into it, it's pretty obvious that's what's going on. So these people are escaping that, and they've been given an escape route, and they've been obviously propagandized or publicized. They know what's going on because these people aren't dirty. They're just carrying little things on the back, and they're walking, and obviously they've been dropped off somewhere here. And who are these people? Okay, so I looked at this little sign here. I thought this sign was interesting. De la Probrera. Um, and I looked at Probrera. I'm assuming it's Probrera. It means a shed or hayloft for shelter for the traveling poor. Okay, so I'd say like 80-90% of the people are just no threat at all, even though they could be easily turned into a threat. And that's probably part of this plan is to turn these people into a threat. And I'll get into that at the end, what I think is going to happen and what I see happening already. And it's pretty easy to connect the dots. These people who are running these things, running this operation, aren't thinking that far ahead. But they're running by a playbook that's well hewn throughout history, and it's only because we don't know about it that it continues to flourish and continues to be a strategy. So yes, some of these people, and it's funny that they use this shed or hayloft and shelter for the traveling poor. Like it's interesting the word that they chose. And here's the other part of the thing that's the problem now. So the and so so they in the year of 2023, 160 migrants, which are this keyword now, this dual language word, which I think is going to become an elite code word for second class citizen, but you can't call them that. You're not allowed to call them that. But this is how that class of people are going to treat this class of people. And the issue is that they're catching these terrorists that they are known terrorists. Like, how bad do you have to be a known terrorist to get on a list? And how bold do you have to be to try and get through? And statistically speaking, many more. The 160 is not. They didn't get them all, and these people are now installed in our country, and getting the lay of the land, finding all the landmark, all the things that have to happen for this. I believe next phase of this thing. And then people are like, how is this being funded? Who is coming and doing this stuff? Well, James O'Keefe just a couple days ago talks about this IRC. IRC is running the shelter. I'm not going to play this clip. You can go find it. But I just want to say that it's like the people in charge. They know about this IRC. What the fuck is this IRC? I was like, IRC? Who gives a crap? What is IRC? Is it private? What is it? Well, you're funding it. Yeah, you're paying for it. Your tax dollars, and you're paying for it. And I'm gonna play this little clip from Doug Casey's take. I don't know if you know about Doug Casey, but he's for an old guy, he's pretty much on the ball about what's coming down the pike. A lot of people would think he's black pilled about this stuff, but I think he's actually reality pilled. And his advice is to is basically the same as my advice, which is to, you want to sidestep this whole mess if you can. If you have the resources and ability, and if you don't have the resources and ability, and you're capable of getting there, I recommend that you at least move to Mexico. Why not just go across the border and let it? Because they're not going to have any of that stuff here. That's not going to. There's not going to be civil war here in Mexico. I live in Mexico, so I've been living here for 3 years. And I'm planning on staying here for this event that's being set up. So here are the people who are running the IRC and who funds it and where it comes from.
Yeah, very unsettling. I thought very unsettling.
Yeah,
one of the other things that is worth talking about, I think, just quickly at least, is that we talked about the migrant issue several times now, and then the most recent numbers for December are up. So it was like almost 250,000 in November that were apprehended or facilitated through the border in November, and then it was up over 300,000 in.
Fair use, by the way. You can go over there and give Doug a like and subscribe. As does you'll before he gets banned, and then go sign up in his Twitter, his Signal or whatever, his Telegram. You can send them show notes. But I need to break it up because I don't want to get blocked for copyright.
November that were apprehended or facilitated through the border in November, and then it was up over 300,000 in December. So in the most recent month, it was up 50, almost 60,000. Now, James O'Keefe did this quick little expose on Twitter where he went to this facility in Arizona where they're collecting and distributing these migrants. And the organization that it was.
So he's talking about this right here.
Behind it is the IRC, which is like the International Relief Commission or something like that. And I did some digging on that, as I'd never really heard of them. I was shocked at the people that are behind this thing. I mean, if you were, for those who might, like me, might believe in a grand conspiracy, this is really further evidence that it might actually be, because strangely enough, the two main people that are on the the co-chair of the board of directors, the first one is Tim Geithner. Tim Geithner is the former Treasury Secretary during Obama. Now, why he would be part of this organization, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, he's he's in finance. And then the co-chair is the current executive vice president and chief corporate affairs officer at Pfizer. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's a really nice, benevolent.
Oh, just a couple people that have no power or say, or are you connecting any dots? Can you figure it out? It's like, I know it's really hard. I know it's difficult to say, because you have to push back against this belief that our government is actually looking out for us at this point, or there's even a government at this, even if the government even exists at this point. It's I hope everybody's paying attention.
Affairs officer at Pfizer. Co-chair is the current executive vice president and chief corporate affairs officer at Pfizer. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's a really nice, benevolent corporation, if there ever was one.
Yeah, and everyone else in there. I mean, I just went through the list of people, and it's a lot of people in the Obama administration, people on the National Security Council for Obama. A guy who is the former managing director of the DTCC. Now, that's if you guys have read or heard us talk about the Great Taking, has hypothesizes that all of the assets in the system will be used as collateral and lost.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the Great Taking, thegreattaking.com, look at it. If you have bonds or stocks, yeah, those are all at risk. Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
Hypothesizes that all of the assets in the system will be used as collateral and lost. And the way that happens is through these central clearing parties. And the DTCC is the one in the US where all these derivatives are traded along with all of your stocks, and the place where all that stuff would be served up as collateral to support the derivatives complex. So that guy's the treasurer of it. The president and CEO is the foreign is David Miliband. I guess he's the ex-foreign secretary for the UK. And the whole list, all the way down it, is people you would assume are bad actors. I mean, the person who's in the current person in charge of the Rockefeller Foundation is on it. You've got the guy from BlackRock, Larry Fink, is on it. I mean, all the bad guys are here.
Yeah, the best part, you were telling me though about their tax return, which is accessible because foundations file tax returns. So what's the story there? That was really shocking.
It's fun. This is all funded by the U.S. government, primarily U.S. taxpayers. About $500 million they received from the government last year.
Are you figuring it out yet? No? Need more?
So all of this process, these guys are in control of this organization that we then support, that is then facilitating the inflow of these migrants. I mean, it's shocking.
Yeah, and that's a huge number of migrants. New York City reported that it costs them $146,000 per year per migrant. I mean,
I guess where that money's coming from. Anybody who's left in the system that's still paying taxes into this thing, that's where it's coming from. So yeah, Yeah, so the next time I'll let you listen to the rest of that. You can listen to that whole thing. It's really quite eye-opening. All of his stuff is actually pretty eye-opening. So this is Tim Pool. I'm not gonna watch the Tim Pool thing, but you can it was just this frame out of his video about the Biden administration sues Texas over state's controversial immigration law. So basically, Texas is trying to stop this, but the federal government is intervening and saying no. Okay, so it's that organization, all those powerful people. So what is the plan? What is the plan? Well, they're gonna, you already see it, happening. So they're gonna have these rings of tent cities, shanty towns, with these illegals, which are halfway citizens. They're halfway citizens. They're kind of here, but kind of not. Kind of and has sort of have license, has sort of no, and they're going to be given the minimums to survive: food, shelter, healthcare, and stuff. And then they'll be engaged in as useful slaves for all these corporations who will get low price labor as a backup or a supplement or a cheap alternative to the AI robots, which aren't going to work out all that great for a lot of stuff. You're going to still need people for a lot of things. It'll be just cheaper anyway, because all those services will be paid for by taxes by everybody that's still left in the system. Who's paying for this? It was mostly going to be the tech, so that'll be the tents, right? Then the tech cities are going to be a ring around the cities that is going to be for the minimal housing. All these pod people, the houses will be chopped up into the pod people for the people left engaging with this system, and they'll be supporting the elite and running robots and running the corporations and running the HR departments. They're going to still need humans to do a lot of that stuff and manage all the slaves. So that's really what's going on. So, I got some questions like, what is a border for? Let me ask you, what is a border for? What is a border patrol for? What does citizenship mean? What is a citizen? What is a voter? What is all these? Because all these people, of course, are going to be heavily indoctrinated to continue their current belief system, which is the system owes them and that they would not survive without the system, obviously, because they escaped the system that was just like this, that wasn't run well, and they lied to us, and these people are really gonna, and these, they will get these services. It'll be the minimal basic stuff. But they'll survive and do well, and some will go back and some will stay and some will be here generationally. So that's really what the plan is. So I mean, see, I had some other points here. People are escaping into what? Oh, so those people are escaping the thing that we're going into more deeply. So they've already, because they're in a little petri dish, but our petri dish is the world, and that we can absorb, supposedly absorb all these poor migrant people and terrorists. Yeah, so they want both. They want the slaves and they want the terrorists, because the terrorists allow them to stay in control and power, and they gives them excuses to knuckle down harder on anyone that may be opposed to any of this shit. Yeah, so it's a captured voter, captured labor pool, and the slave class is always on edge of being deported, and they're always being given the carrot that you're gonna be able to move up one day, and you can vote. Look, you can vote. Look, we give you all these things already. So yeah, so that's the plan. That's what's going on, and I really recommend exploring the foreign earned income exclusion. Super easy to say, extremely obscure tax code, but if you just bebop over the border for 330 days out of the year, you don't pay federal income tax. If you make under 140K per year per person in a married couple, it's 203. What is it? 140 times 280. If you make less than that per year, you pay no federal income tax. So if you're a Texas resident and you move to Mexico and get your permanent or your temporary residency, which turns into a permanent residency after 4 years, super easy to do. All you need is your passport, and it's easier to do across the border, like if you do it in the United States before you switch over. So I can give you advice about all this stuff. But basically, if you live here for more than 330 days, which means you get 1 month in the United States, basically, per year, you pay no federal income tax on the first 140K or 200K if you're married 140K, 120K, something like that. It changes every year, goes up every year. It's like 128, something like that. It's a lot. It's way more than you think. And if you get that tax free, if you don't pay, you still pay Social Security, Medicare on it. So make sure you keep that going. But the federal stuff, you get that all refunded if it's not for anything under the 130K, whatever the hell it is now. Yeah, so if you that's the hint, that's the tip. By the way, you can stop funding it. You can live a very better life in a place that's not going to have these issues, that is actually post collapse. Yes, you have this thing going off like, oh, what about the cartels? The cartels don't give a fuck about you. They actually own a lot of these towns and places where people are escaping to, and they want to make money, and they're making money on the border because they got deals with the government, obviously the IRC thing or whatever the fuck it is. So they got deals with them. So you're not a threat to them as long as you're not going out drinking and trying to fuck all their women and being retarded. They leave you the fuck alone, man. They're Catholics. They're in the same ballpark, but they're also desperate, and they will be opportunistic. So that's the other thing too, is you can't be a fool. Quit being foolish, Americans. Everybody thinks Americans are foolish. By the way, I just want to say that's why they get taken advantage of when they go overseas, because they assume that y'all are suckers, and most of you are. So come on, get some street smarts. Come on, keep up, catch up. Go on, let's go. So anyway, if you want more information about the FEIE and how to relocate to Mexico, I have people that are involved with that stuff, and I'm living here, so I can tell you about it. But yeah, it would be best to skip this next thing running up to 2030, because that seems like their deadline for all this stuff. So yeah, that's what they're planning on doing. It's just going to get more and more abusive and more toxic, and there's no defending against any of this stuff. It's, if you defend it, it's just more, you're defending this. As if you stay and like want to defend it, you're going to be defending the current operation. So it's not like you're going to be making a new one. You're not going to drain the swamp. Like, come on now, stop. All right, enough of that. I'll talk to you later. Man Free World. I'm Chris.